Hello everybody. Again we're going to look at the show Mindhunter. I was very impressed with this TV show because lots of the phrasal verbs from the Advanced Phrasal Verbs book, which I'm studying with quite a few students at the moment, lots of those phrasal verbs are in this TV show. And they're in many other TV shows as well, and yeah, we do use these phrasal verbs very often. If anyone's interested in picking up one of these courses, because I've written some exercises for each episode of Mindhunter, that's 10 episodes. If anybody would like to try that course, it's very much made for students who like to study for themselves, who are independent students. Then please, it's £6 for all episodes. Try the link there, or I'll put a link up in the information up here, and click on that and you'll go through to my website. And if anybody has any problems, there shouldn't be, you should be able to download it, but just get in touch with me on Facebook or VK and I'll send you, if I can see you've bought it, I'll send it straight to you, of course. But let's get straight to business. Let's get down to business, like here. So mostly phrasal verbs from these two episodes, but there are some in the middle which aren't phrasal verbs. So to round up, if you round a group of people together, you round them up. So if you need to, I don't know, maybe you would like to play football, and so you need to round up a few guys to make up a team. Yeah, so it means collect people together, gather people together. Collect or gather people together for round a group up. Yeah. So collect together or gather together. So you need to round up a group whenever you're trying to get a group of people together. To lash out means to hit out, and you can say to lash out in transitive, or you can say to lash out at someone, which would be transitive because you've got the object there, at someone. And very often that's the case. You can also hit out, but hit out at someone. And that literally means be violent towards someone, or it could mean not physically, but maybe your comments. Maybe you make some barbed comments at someone, some scathing remarks. That would mean you're lashing out at that person, really. So not just physical violence, but also any kind of nastiness, nasty words that you have for somebody, that would be lashing out at them. Now, if you stick up for someone, you support them. So you might stick up for your best friend if he's in trouble, or somebody's being mean to him, or someone's being nasty to him. You might stick up for him, and that just means support them, and maybe even say something to defend them. Okay, if something is a one-off, it only happens once. It's not something that's going to happen regularly. So if you have, maybe you find some work which is just a one-off, it means this work will not go on forever. It's not a permanent contract. It's just maybe for one day and then that's it. It's a one-off. You could use this in a lot of different situations, meaning something that happens only once. That's the important thing. Only once. Okay, to let off steam means to relax, and this is a phrasal verb or idiom really, but when you let off steam, you find a way to relax having got very stressed. So maybe you get very stressed at your job, and then at the end of the day you go to the gym to let off steam. It's not what I do, but you might do that. There are lots of ways you could let off steam, however you... any kind of way that you become relaxed, having got stressed, that would be letting off steam. Some people watch the TV, yeah, some people play cards, whatever. Some people read a book to let off steam, some people have a bath, blah, blah, blah. If you go after someone, you chase them. You chase them in some kind of way. You run after them, you go after them. That means you're chasing them. You're homing in on them, maybe, or zoning in on them. A couple of other phrasal verbs there that we've studied before. Now, if your behaviour rubs off on someone else, that means that they start to behave in the same way because they have been with you for such a long period of time. So I think quite often teachers can be a little bit childish, and I think it's because we often work with children, and the children's behaviour rubs off on us. Unfortunately, or fortunately, who knows. But when we only use this phrasal verb for when behaviour gets incorporated by another person. And so maybe your child is hanging around with someone who you consider a bad influence, and so you don't want them really to hang around together because you're worried that their behaviour rubs off on your child. Okay, if you have a crush on someone, that means you have a thing for someone. I think I've written this one twice, have I? No. Okay, to have a crush on someone means to have a thing for someone, and it means to be infatuated by someone, or to be mildly in love with someone. I wouldn't say truly in love with someone, because I think to have a crush on, we often use with teenagers when they have a crush on their favourite pop star or something like that. They are infatuated with that person. They have a thing for that person. So you could use that when somebody fancies someone else. Okay, if a car pulls into a lane, usually they're pulling into slower traffic. And you can also pull into a parking space. So you can pull into a place to park as well. So that's a driving phrasal verb. If you pop into the shops, you just drop into them very quickly. You don't spend a long time there. To pop into somewhere means to have a quick visit, to visit somewhere very quickly. Okay, your scruples, not a phrasal verb here, but your scruples are your principles. And if someone is unscrupulous, they are unethical, okay? Unscrupulous, unethical, a bad person. If you make a pass at someone, oh here, I've got to have a crush on, silly me. But if you make a pass at someone, you come on to them. Remember from Mindhunter 1 and 2, come onto someone means to chat someone up. Okay, very useful phrasal verbs. Come on to someone, chat someone up, make a pass at someone. If something is nascent, it's in the early stages. It's literally related to birth, this word. And so if something is nascent, if the plans are in a nascent stage, they're just beginning to exist. And so the early stages are the nascent stages. If something is feasible, it's likely or practical, something like that. If you say that the plan is feasible, it means, yeah, it can work. It can work, it's possible, it's practical, it could work. So we often talk about feasible plans. It means plans which are realistic, which could work. Okay, if you're on the cusp of doing something, you're on the verge of doing something. It means you're almost doing it. Okay, you're on the cusp of it. You're right on the edge of it. You're almost doing it. Sorry, I've got to keep an eye on the time because I'm running a bit late today. If you are vindicated, you are justified in some kind of way. So perhaps you've been making a claim at work. You've been telling the boss that it would be much better if you reduced the price on the latest product you're going to roll out, and he doesn't agree with you and sales aren't good, and then he tries your plan and sales are fantastic, they go through the roof. You have been vindicated. Okay, if you're reluctant to do something, you don't want to do it, you're unwilling, and obviously there are lots of things we are reluctant to do. Your inclinations are your desires or your wishes. It's what you're inclined to do. And so we talk about, I think in this show, they talk about perverse inclinations, bad and disgusting inclinations, that kind of thing, the kind of inclinations serial killers have. And so, of course, they're not very nice. They also talk about humiliating behaviour. I think some of the serial killers were humiliated when they were growing up. They were belittled, and all of these words mean the same thing. If someone's behaviour is demeaning, belittling or humiliating, it makes you feel about that big. It makes you feel really small, and it's horrible behaviour, humiliating behaviour or demeaning behaviour. Okay, your flaws, your character flaws, for example, are your imperfections, the bad parts of your character. I'm going to rush now because running out of time. And by the way, grammar in this these two episodes in my ebook, it's inversion and past modals. So if you're interested in those topics, you might also like this ebook. Okay, if you get down to the brass tacks, you get down to basics. That's what that means. Let's get down to basics, or let's get down to what's most important. The most important things, the most essential things. Let's get down to business means let's start with the most important things. They're very similar, and I think sometimes they can be used interchangeably. Okay, if you rip something off, if I rip the pen lid off, I just do that, rip the pen lid off, yeah, tear it off. But if you rip someone off, then you cheat them out of money. You mug someone off. If you don't give them the right change, you have ripped them off, you have mugged them off, you haven't given them enough money. Maybe you're working in a shop, you don't give them enough change, you rip them off. Okay, if you tell someone off, you reprimand them, you castigate them. I like that word, I heard it yesterday, and it's a good word. You tell them off, you say that they've been a bad boy or a bad girl. So it's what you do to children, really, and this is very childish. I wouldn't say this for adults. You don't normally tell off adults, and I don't like being told off because I don't like to feel like I'm a little boy. But I would use one of these words for an adult, you know, to tell someone that they've done something wrong. Okay, to be ticked off means to be mildly irritated, not very irritated, but mildly irritated, mildly annoyed. To be ticked off. Another phrasal verb. To set someone off is to activate someone, to trigger them, to trigger their bad behaviour, usually, to trigger their anger or to trigger their violence. Remember that set a firework off means activate the firework, and set an alarm off means activate the alarm, so very similar. If you bag something up, you get it into a bag and shut the bag. That's all. You can bag something up. Normally you'd use this for little plastic bags, it seems to me, and not for handbags. But if you bag something up, you bag up your shopping. When you've done all your shopping at the supermarket, you need to bag it up. That means put it all in the plastic bags. Okay, to rub something in, a great phrasal verb, which means to remind someone about their weaknesses or their mistakes or something they've done wrong. And so it's to remind someone that they're an idiot or that they're stupid. It's not a nice one, it's very negative to rub something in. And I think children very often rub it in if they have something that the other child doesn't have. They will often rub it in and show it off and show the other child that they've got something that the other one hasn't, and they are rubbing it in. They're trying to hurt that person by showing them what they have and the other one doesn't have. Okay, if you vouch for someone, you guarantee that they're a good person. You give them a good reference. You say they are a good person, good for the job or something like that, but it could be for something else. But when you vouch for them, you say they are a trustworthy, good person. Okay, if you insinuate yourself into someone's plans, it means you manipulate your way into their life. And here, in this show, they talk about the serial killers insinuating themselves into the police investigation. Very often they want to be involved with the police in looking for the killer, even though they are the killer. And so they have a habit, some of these serial killers, of insinuating themselves into the police investigation. It's manipulative. Okay, if you sniff something out, this is usually used for sniffer dogs, literally. In the airport, the sniffer dogs have to sniff out the drugs or the guns or whatever from the suitcases. But you could use it for find anything. So these guys have to sniff out the serial killers, yeah? They have to find the serial killers. They have to follow the scent of the killer and find him and track him down and arrest him and send him down, put him away. Okay, if you talk someone out of doing something, you dissuade them. It's exactly the same as dissuade, the opposite of persuade, yeah? Dissuade someone from doing something. If you draw something out, you make it last much longer. So you could draw out a lesson or something like this. I'm not going to draw this lesson out because I'm late for something. And if something holds up, it remains correct. It is verified. So in this show, they talked about the suspect's alibi holds up. And it means the suspect's alibi has been checked and it's all correct. There's nothing wrong with it. It is verified. Okay, I've got to stop here, but thanks for watching, everybody. I hope to see you all soon. Please put a like on the video if you've enjoyed this lesson. And please buy the exercises if you want more of these phrasal verbs. There are loads of them, and I'm going to carry on doing these lessons for them as well. Thanks for watching. See you all soon.